Today on AGetc, we start out with Curt Pate demonstrating how to calmly unload cattle. Next, we learn about the walk-in hunting program from Kansas Wildlife Parks and Tourism. Then Duane Toews and AJ Tarpoff are talking about anaplasmosis. Next, George Pretz with Kansas Farm Bureau discusses the Rails to Trails program and what it could potentially mean for farmers. And we'll end with KSU researcher Travis O'Quinn talking about consumer preferences when it comes to cuts of pork. Closed captioning brought to you by Ag Promo Source. Together we grow. Learn more at agpromosource.com. This segment brought to you by Kansas Regenerative Medicine. Your stem cells, your health, your life.
We're going to look at things from a little different point of view today. Now you need to decide how you can make this fit into your style and your operation. This is simply looking at it from the point of view of the calmest cattle for the highest gain or the highest reproduction and hopefully for the highest profit. Now you've got to figure out where you want to go with this as far as your equipment, your style of handling, and what you do. So this is just a baseline idea. You take it from where you want to go with it. When we unload these cattle here, we'll unload them one compartment at a time. And as we get ready, Chris will go ahead and let this bunch out. As these cattle come off the trailer, I'm going to do what I call hooking these cattle on. So I'll help them get off. As soon as they start to come off this trailer, I want to be out here and catching their eye and actually catching their mind and seeing what they need. So as they come off here, as they come off, they're going to be looking at everything that's around here. I'm going to try not to turn them back out, turn them back into the trailer, but I'm going to let them step out here, and I'm going to try to get these cattle where they start looking to me as their source of attention and my pressure to get them to move. So I want to get these cattle stopped and hooked on to me when they first step out. So this first compartment, that's pretty good. Well, now I'm going to go right down their side. Now this heifer here looks to be the kind of the most sensitive, so I'll get back here and we'll just send these cattle right on down and let them walk away from me. Now as we get this little bunch set up here, we'll go ahead and let this next set out. And I'll just see if I can draw these guys. We'll have somebody send them on by. And as they come out, I'll do the same thing. We'll get them sent out. And now as they come, I'll just catch their eye and let them come to their buddies. So I'm going to take control of these calves right off. I want to make sure that they understand that I am in control of the pressure, and we'll let them come on right on by. I'll let this heifer here, I'll let her catch me. Watch her ears. She'll bring her ears to me. That's just enough. Now I can walk right on by her and I'll send her to the bunch. Real good. Now we'll bring our next bunch. As they come off, they should have a little more movement. They got a little farther to go before they have to step down. And right here, I'll just try to get these heifers' eye, hook them on, and I'll let them go by me. Real nice. These heifers, now I knew nothing about the heifers. They knew nothing about me. Now we've just made our handshake. They've taught me kind of how much pressure they need. I've taught them that I'm going to give them the right kind of pressure. That's kind of what start we want to have. That takes a little more time than just letting them roar off the trailer, but I think that time spent will create a good relationship for the rest of the time we work, whether it's 1 hour or for the rest of their lives.
The new Better Horses Network is worldwide. Presented by Lucas Oil. Featuring worldwide radio and TV with iconic hosts like Al Dunning, Sharon Camarillo, Ernie Rodina, Lindy Birch, and Craig Cameron. With American Cowboy, Horse and Rider, Brushy Creek, Cavenders, and Ride TV. Worldwide radio and TV. The all-new Better Horses Network.
Sure Crop Fertilizers was started by my father, Don Sherman, and my mother, Shirley Sherman. Family business that started in the 80s. We predominantly focus on plant nutrients and what we can do to give growers better responses with the fertilizer dollars that they do, and what we can do to make those things work better for the grower. We're based out of Seneca, Kansas. We work with growers in their soil analysis to figure out what they need, and then we can put those in a blend that gives them the best results, and so that we can deliver that direct to their farm so that they have those nutrients where they need them, when they need them, and so that they can apply them in a manner that's very efficient to them and works well in their planting systems and what they're doing. Sure Crop Fertilizers has been around for a long time. We always say we're big enough to take care of everything you need, but yet we're small enough to do it quickly. You can get a hold of us at 1-800-635-4743. Our website is surecropfertilizers.com, and you can always email me at Corey@surecropfertilizers.com, and with any questions you have, and we're glad to answer it and work with you.
This segment brought to you by Kansas Wheat. Learn more at rediscoverwheat.org.
Duane Toews joining you once again on Ag AM in Kansas, and a chance to catch up with Aaron Baugh with Kansas Wildlife Parks and Tourism. And Aaron, one of the popular programs that Wildlife and Parks for a number of years has been involved in, and really it serves kind of two purposes for both the enthusiast and sportsman, but the landowner as well, the walk-in wildlife hunting program. Talk to us a little bit about that program and how it works.
Yeah, the walk-in program is where we lease private property for public access. There we have several different side shoots, offsets of that program, where we can give either long-term leases for up to 10 years there when it's on an all-up-front payment, or we do more of an annual lease there, and the landowner gets a payment every year there. So there's several different aspects to the program, and we've really kind of tailored it to best suit the landowner out there.
Now, obviously, there are differences from across the state, from east to west, and what might be a good hunting ground in one area of the state, maybe not in another, but it allows producers to gain some revenue off those acres, but at the same time continue to support a program and an opportunity for those maybe in urban areas that don't have hunting acres contracted, that they can enjoy the outdoors as well.
Yeah, that's right, and it really works well for absentee landowners that can't be out there on their property and keep a close eye on it. Our properties are patrolled by our game wardens out there, and so and then we also have liability coverage on those properties, so the landowner's protected by that aspect as well there. So it works out across the state for a different variety of landowners there, whether if you're on the property there and just but don't have the time to manage it and want to get a little extra money off of it, it works out for them, and then it works out for those absentee landowners as well.
We think about other offshoots from that program. I think there's a fishing program as well.
Yeah, there's the fish access, where we lease ponds there for public access, and then the biologists a lot of times will stock those ponds too to maybe bump up the fish numbers there for the fishing out there too.
Well, our thanks to Aaron Baugh joining us on Ag AM in Kansas, talking about the wildlife or walk-in hunting program. If they have more information, is the easiest way just to go to the website?
Yeah, you can go to ksoutdoors.com or just type in Kansas Wildlife and Parks and Tourism on any of the search browsers, and you'll get to our website there. Or you can call one of the local offices in your area and talk to them there and get more information on the program.
Hi, I'm Kim Mandring with Hardy Insurance. I'm here to help you with all of your farm and ranch needs. When it comes to protecting your operation and your family, you need a name you can trust at a price you can afford. Call me today or visit hardyaviationins.com.
Ag Promo Source is a unique group of marketing specialists with one mission: help your ag business grow. Each affiliate has their own area of expertise, and they work together to bring you advice, products, and services. To get started, visit agpromosource.com. Ag Promo Source. Together we grow.
Are your cows practical or profitable? If you want them to be both, come to the Dale Banks Angus Bull Sale Saturday, November 17th near Eureka, Kansas, selling 140 yearling and coming 2-year-olds who have spent their days on the rugged pastures of the Flint Hills. For 114 years, the Perriers have been focused on providing hard-working, balanced trait bulls for progressive cattlemen nationwide. Make plans to join us November 17th or pre-register to bid online. For more information and to view our catalog, visit www.dalebanks.com.
This segment brought to you by Sure Crop, liquid crop nutrition delivered right to your farm.
Duane Toews joining you once again here on Ag AM in Kansas. And a recent field day, a chance to catch up with A.J. Tarpoff. And A.J., a beef extension veterinarian with Kansas State University. And you had the opportunity to talk to producers about anaplasmosis. It's become a bigger issue in the state of Kansas. Obviously, it's been around for a number of years, but we start seeing more incidents in the past couple of years. Tell us a little bit about that particular disease and why growers need to pay attention.
Well, anaplasmosis, to start with, it's a rickettsial bacterial organism, and it affects the red blood cells of cattle. And what has been happening over the last several years is it's starting to poke its ugly head up in certain areas, especially within Kansas, that we've never seen it before. As of late, just about every single county within the state of Kansas has had at least one reported case of anaplasmosis.
We think about why that's important. Obviously, the detrimental effects of the disease on a cow herd can be significant in some situations.
It absolutely can. If we have a naive herd and anaplasmosis comes through, what's different with this is a lot of the times the first clinical sign that we get within a naive herd is dead, mature animals out in the pasture. And that can be extremely devastating, especially considering the price and how much these animals truly mean for the operation. And it often happens very suddenly. So very costly, but it also hurts production. It can cause abortions. It can do a number of different things as apart from the overall mortality loss. But anaplasmosis is an extremely costly disease.
Talk a little bit about what we're trying to do to combat that particular issue and what producers should have front of mind.
Number one thing to do when dealing with anaplasmosis is have a very strong relationship with your local practitioner, your local veterinarian. Have a valid veterinary client-patient relationship. That allows you to use many more products to be at your disposal whenever you work with your local practitioner. On top of that is we have different products that we can use through the feed, different types of treatment mechanisms, but mainstay is prevention. Okay, anaplasmosis is a bloodborne bacteria. We have different vectors, such as ticks and flies. So a part of our anaplas control method, we need to be able to control these external parasites. Apart from that, we have mechanical means that we can transmit this disease. And by mechanical, things that people can do. Anything that gets blood exposure, injection needles, dehorners, tattoo pliers, any of these any of these tools that we use within a herd can transmit this disease from one animal to another.
We think about the unfortunate situation that stressors typically bring on and make it more apparent, I understand, as well.
Stressors can, especially when the animal gets into clinical stages of disease. They have the inability to move oxygen within their system. They can get extremely violent, and just the act of moving the animal can send it over the edge. So understand, be safe when you're handling these animals. Early treatment is always the best. Whenever they're just going off a feed, they're showing a little bit of either very white mucous membranes or very yellow. And even signs of constipation, maybe 1 or 2 abortions if you have pregnant cows at that time. These are more the earlier stages that treatment is often very successful at that period of time.
Albeit an unfortunate situation, being honest and open with your veterinary practitioner, probably the best means to get your hands around this in a timely fashion.
Very true. The number one thing I always recommend to producers, talk with your local practitioner, work with them directly, set up different types of different strategies to be able to decrease the risk on your own operation and both exposure and spread throughout your herd. So kind of our basic biosecurity and biocontainment within our herds to make sure that naive animals are not getting exposed.
All right, thanks to A.J. Tarpoff joining us here with an update on anaplasmosis.
I had this horse. It was a good horse, except for when the wind was blowing above 30 miles an hour. Wind was blowing about 35, 40, and I saddled him up, rode him out to the end of the lane, and I thought, well, he's doing pretty good. And about 6 jumps later, I was laying on the ground and thinking, boy, my shoulder sure hurt. I kept waiting, and it didn't get better, and so I went to orthopedic surgeon, and that showed that I had torn rotator cuff. And said, well, we'll have to do surgery. I farm and ranch by myself. This is not going to work out very well. I'd been sleeping in my recliner for about 2.5 years because it hurt too much to sleep in bed on my side. I'd heard about Kansas Regenerative Medicine Center on the radio. Gotten down there at 8 o'clock in the morning, and by 11:30 the procedure was all over. They just took some fat out of my side here and spun that down for about 45 minutes and then injected it in my shoulders, and I was on my way. It's something you don't hear about, but I thought it was worth a try, and I'm really pleased. It's really worked out well for me.
Valley Vet Supply is devoted to providing information and professional quality products at reasonable prices.
Valley Vet Supply.
Hi, I'm Tim. This is my wife, Kat, my parents, Jerry and Linda, and my kids, Isaac and Lizzie. My parents traded their first careers to take over my mom's family farm shortly before I was born. When I graduated high school, my parents made me leave to see the world. I started on the corporate track, but soon wondered what farm life might really be like. Watch our story and the stories of other young Kansas food producers at kansaslivingmagazine.com/meetafarmer.
This segment brought to you by Kansas Corn. Learn more at kscorn.com.
I'm George Pretz from Paola, Kansas, Miami County. I represent District 2, and today I'd like to talk about the Rails to Trail topic, which has been in Kansas Farm Bureau policy for the last 35 years. U.S. Congress passed a bill where this land would be rail banked, and the railroad company would let a trail group make it a recreation trail that you could walk on, bike on, ride horses on, and it happens to go through 5 counties, starting with Miami, Franklin, Osage, Lyon, Morris, and ending at Harrington in east central Kansas. And over the years, it has developed problems for adjacent landowners, working with the trail groups that managed the area in the past. But just lately, this past session, they passed Senate Bill 331, which has turned over the management, made it a state park, and turned the management over to the Department of Wildlife, Parks, and Tourism. And they are now responsible for the management of the day-to-day operations of the trail. Part of this 331 bill, they've created a advisory council, and from those 6 counties I mentioned earlier, the county commissioners appoint a person, hopefully adjacent landowner, to be represented on this advisory council, and then the county seat city of the county appoints a person, and besides those 12 people, 6 from adjacent landowners, 6 from trail enthusiasts, there will also be a state representative appointed that represents part of that area, and a state senator. They will actually lead the group. The Farm Bureau is trying to build relationships with this state agency and get some answers to our members' questions. There's been so many questions in the past and present concerning the fence maintenance along the trail, access to the trail by motorized vehicles, trespassing off the trail, just a lot of concerns how the bikers, the walkers, the horse riders use the trail, the hours operation, or can they camp out there in the middle of the night and build a campfire, and just a lot of different questions and concerns from Farm Bureau members. They want to get along, they want to build a relationship with the state agencies and get their questions answered, and hopefully the state agency will respond and manage the trail the correct way by state statutes and provide benefits for the trail users, but also protect the property rights of the adjacent landowners. You know, people who are wise organize. It's an old slogan. And you can only do so much by yourself, but where we get, Farm Bureau gets powers and numbers, which creates us to have an excellent staff that can work for us every day in every arena, whether it's Washington, D.C., Topeka, at the county level. We have a county Farm Bureau in every county. And the other good part about Farm Bureau, it represents all of agriculture, not just the corn growers and the beef providers, but everyone up and down Kansas agriculture. And it's just, it's something that's just developed the last 100 years, keeps getting stronger. And it's more important than ever before with a fewer number of farmers. And we're big in agriculture education to educate the people where their food comes from.
KFRM is one of the largest farm radio stations in the nation, dedicated to informing and entertaining rural listeners from northern Oklahoma to southwestern Nebraska. You can catch KFRM in many ways, of course, 550 on the AM dial, streaming at kfrm.com, or on your smartphone by going to the TuneIn Radio app, or on Ag AM in Kansas on Tuesdays, and Facebook every day of the week. KFRM, tune us in. You'll be glad you did.
Tarwater Farm and Home has been family owned and operated since its beginning in 1978. What you need for farm and agriculture, lawn and garden, clothing and footwear, and so much more. You'll be surprised at what you'll find in this huge store. They have what you need and lots of it. So come take a look. You'll discover that customer service is first and foremost. Always has been with the Tarwaters. Tarwater Farm and Home, 4107 North Topeka Boulevard.
The Kansas Wheat Innovation Center in Manhattan is rediscovering ways to get improved varieties and new genetics in the hands of farmers faster. Grower-led and checkoff-funded research initiatives are bringing about positive change. This grassroots leadership provides a strong voice in Topeka and Washington, D.C. Now is the time to partner with Kansas Wheat in moving wheat forward. Kansas Wheat Commission and Kansas Association of Wheat Growers. Farmers investing in their future and yours. Log on to rediscoverwheat.org.
This segment brought to you by Kansas Soybean Commission. Progress powered by Kansas farmers.
As time has gone on, the pork industry, through increased genetics and improved nutrition, one of the results with that is that we've been able to get pigs to heavier weights, market weights, a lot more efficiently. And so by doing that, we have the same amount of time that these animals are on feed as they historically have been, but by doing this, they've just gotten to be a little bit larger. The trend shows that over the last 10 years, we've increased the hot carcass weight or the live weight of these pigs, the market weight, pretty dramatically. And so when we harvest those animals at heavier weights, the resulting impact is that we end up with larger cuts that come off those animals that ultimately result in larger pork chops when consumers go to the grocery store. As a follow-up to our visual study, we actually did a taste panel. So we brought consumers in, and we fed them the pork chops, didn't tell them anything about them other than they were pork chops. We found some really interesting results. When we looked at those data, we found that consumers actually found that the bigger the animal was, the more tender the product actually was. Whereas if we looked at flavor and juiciness and how much they liked the product overall, there was no differences. But we were able to see in the heavier weight pigs that we did have more tender products. When we actually did the research study, we brought consumers in, we cut the pork chops into different thicknesses. So we had thin chops at 1/2 inch thick, all the way up to thicker chops at 1.25 inches in thickness. That's because as these animals get larger, we want to make sure we can still market pork chops at a certain weight. Consumers want to purchase, for instance, 8-ounce pork chops or 6-ounce pork chops. And so what we were trying to do is determine, can we make a pork chop that's too big for consumers to actually like? Our results found that the consumers really discriminated against really thin chops, so regardless of how big the animals got, if we cut the pork chops at 1/2 inch thick, the consumers did not like that very much. Across the board, the consumers liked the 1-inch chops the best regardless of size. And then from a size standpoint, one of the most interesting findings was as we made the animals larger, as they increased in heavy weight, consumers seemed to like those pork chops better. When we look at this, the results of this study, it really is a win-win situation. Producers know that they're producing a high quality product, and that if all trends continue in the industry as they look, and we continue to get larger pigs over the next 10 to 15 years, that we don't have to worry about the quality being negatively impacted. Because we know that the consumers will be happier with the more tender product than with a tougher product, and so it's a good news for the industry.
Closed captioning brought to you by Ag Promo Source. Together we grow. Learn more at agpromosource.com.